Welcome back, everybody, to 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co host, Noor Zainab. And we are back on this Wednesday to break down a full slate of NBA games. We got 10 games to get to, a lot to cover as I'm moving up. I'm moving on up. I mean, my percentage was what? At like 49% last week. I got to say, I've been hitting a bit of a heater. I'm now hitting 54% of my picks. As for Noor, she did lay the points last night and she got burned by some of those games.
I did. I got burned by we just talked about it. The Wolves. I got burned by what other team was there? Just all of them. The ones where I shouldn't have laid the points. I laid the points. I thought that you should go with the favorites. Clearly, I was wrong. And now I'm at 51% trying to claw back at Luca, who's at 54%. I'm gonna get there. Don't When I get in that mojo, Luca, I'm gonna get there. Wait until I start staying up all night, getting all my stuff ready. All I'm gonna see is just okay, I gotta beat Luca. That's it.
That's it. That's the motivation. All right, let's begin with the first game then on the night. We got the Hawks, who are coming off a pretty nice win over the Cavaliers. I got that game wrong. They're taking on the Magic as the Hawks are 6 point favorites.
Yeah, we both did. Who would have seen that coming, right? This is a Hawks team that's we've already said this so many times, inconsistent. You don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know who's gonna come on, and you don't know what level of Trey you're going to be getting each night. And last night you saw him dropping 41 points, even despite Garland getting 30 points himself. Because that's a Cavs team that's really well put together. We mentioned this yesterday, so consistent. Everything that they do has been on par with who they have been throughout the entire year. But then the Hawks just came and they made it their game. I think this will be a quick turnaround for the Hawks, but I think that this is a game where they should feel comfortable taking on the Magic on a back to back, especially after you beat the Cavs like that. And the Hawks should stay in the flow of things, even if they have defensive liabilities. I don't think that's the problem against a team like the Magic, and it wasn't even a problem against the Cavs. Really, they didn't have Collins playing there. I don't think he's available tonight either. But they used Gallinari as a point forward, which allowed them to have so much more room, so much more spacing. I think they took like 33 threes or something like that the day before, and I don't think they'll be slowing down from that tonight. So yeah, give me the Hawks. What about you?
Yeah, the Hawks do seem like the logical pick here. I'm going to go with them as well. The Magic are not very good. We already know that. 8-25-1 against the spread they are in their last 34 games, but they are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games playing on 1 day's rest. So that's something to go for here, but I'm still going to back the Hawks. You look at the Magic, when they do lose at home, it's by an average of 10.2 points, and they're also just 7-18 against the spread at home. The Hawks, they got to start racking up these wins. They want to try to get out of that play-in tournament or at least get into that 7th or 8th spot so they can just be in a position where if they win one game, they're in. So I can see them turning it up a notch here. They obviously did that to save their season as it looked like they were going to be a lottery team. But now they're starting to hit some momentum, starting to get their mojo going. And yeah, I look at a guy like Trey Young to have another big game tonight. I don't think the second night of a back-to-back is going to be too much of an issue here, especially since they're going up against the Magic. So I like the Hawks in this spot.
Yeah, I think this is just the Eastern Conference that at this point they're all gonna make their runs. This is the time to do it, right? Now, sticking to the Eastern Conference theme and sticking to the same teams we're talking about, the Brooklyn Nets take on the New York Knicks tonight, where the Knicks are favored by -4.5. Are you surprised or do you think it's normal?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised the Knicks are favorites here. I'm going with the Nets. I think that's the pick here. You look at the Nets; they're obviously going to be without Kyrie. Ben Simmons is still out. KD, Joe Harris, but the Knicks, they're not very good. This is a team that's 25th in the league in offensive rating this year. Their offense isn't striking any fear whatsoever, and I liked what I saw from Drummond and Seth Curry, pardon me, last game. He really turned it on. And that's a guy who I think is going to be such a great addition to this Nets team. I mean, he already looks dangerous on his own. Imagine when you do insert Simmons, Kyrie, KD, all that attention is going to be on those 3 star players. That's going to just open things up for Seth Curry, who could just go off. And I think he's going to have another big night tonight. And it's also worth mentioning that the road team is 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 meetings in this rivalry. And the Knicks are just 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 home games against teams with winning road records. So I do like the Nets to make it 2 wins in a row. They looked so much better in that game against the Kings, and I have them beating the Knicks in the spot. So I'll take the points.
What does it say about the Nets that we're siding with the Nets right now, who are clearly not the Nets you thought they were going to be against this Knicks team? And I want to give the flowers where they're due. Like Julius Randle has been turning his game around. He's been dropping 28, 28, 30, 28 against Warriors too, which is like, quite a bit, quite a accomplishment to have. And then they're insanely inconsistent. That's the only thing with the Knicks where it's like you'll see them play each night, but you just don't know what version you'll get. You don't know if they'll really pull through and make it a close game, if they'll get blown out, or if they'll be the ones doing the blowing out. This is just a team that you have no idea what's going to happen. And like you mentioned already, I think the Brooklyn Nets, they added such great pieces in Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. You already have a guy like Patty Mills. I think Patty Mills and Curry kind of give you the same elevation in terms of your offense. And having two guys like that on the roster, I already mentioned it. I don't think Ben Simmons has to ever take a three in his life ever again, as long as he plays for the Brooklyn Nets. So I think this is going to be another game where they just get their gelling together, their chemistry figured out. This is the Knicks team that you can kind of take to lose here. They, even if Brooklyn Nets don't win here, I think they should keep this super close to the point where they still cover the spread. And even besides that, though, I think they should come out and win this. So give me the Brooklyn Nets.
All right, we're 2 for 2 with our picks so far in terms of agreeing. Next game here, we got the Pistons taking on the Celtics, and the Celtics came off what, like a 60-point win against the 76ers last night. I mean, at least we both got that game right. We did jump on the Celtics. What were they, -3? So this time they're -12.5. It is a big number. Do you see this being a trap, or are you going to back the Celtics once again?
I think the way that they have been playing recently, you kind of have to go the Celtics way. I mean, we pretty much you see the roster on both papers last night for Philly and for Celtics, and you already pretty much assume that this is the game that the Celtics should be able to win, but not win like that, like not blow out another team to the point where it's embarrassing for the Sixers fans. And yeah, I just think that Celtics have figured themselves out. They have, we already mentioned the duo of J Squared, who have been absolutely dominating. They still have guys coming off the bench who are able to produce the way that they should be. And I think the biggest thing for Celtics is their defense. If they're able to stop other guys and other teams, and they have people on their roster who have those offensive weapons like Jason and Jalen and everybody else, then it gives you a chance every single time because you make those stops and then you go back and you score instead. And I know it's quite big of a spread for the Pistons, but Pistons are just not the team you can lay on that with, right? Like they're not a big threat offensively. Each time they lose by almost double digits. They've lost like 8 in a row already. And I think they'll make it 9 tonight. So give me Boston. What about you?
Yeah, I hate laying this many points, but I feel like you have to pay the Celtics respect and lay the points with them here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a trap and if the
Yeah.
Pistons keep this game close. I would be shocked if the Pistons win this game, but I can see them making it interesting. But I mean, you look at how well the Celtics have been playing. How can you not back them here? And then you take account how good their defense has been. They've had the best defense in the NBA since the new year, and they're going up against a Pistons offense that ranks 29th in terms of offensive rating. So it's not a recipe for success at all. And you look at what the Celtics team did to Embiid. What do you think they're going to do against the Pistons, who aren't very good to begin with? So I'm going to go with the Celtics. And this is a back to back. And maybe we could see them play down to their opponent. But I think they'll get it done. They're playing too well right now where you can't bet against them until they prove you otherwise.
Yeah, this is like their skid right now, right? You gotta bet on them. Now we also have the Portland Trailblazers taking on the Memphis Grizzlies, where Grizzlies are favored by 11 and a half. I have some thoughts, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, before we get into that game, I think you missed the game. We got Wizards
Oh, did I?
Pacers.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Let's do that one first. My bad. Go
It's
ahead.
all good. It's all good. I know
I was
both
too
teams stink, but we
excited.
we got to show them a little bit of love here. We got to make our pick. It is a pick 'em game, so that just tells you could go either way. And just to keep it short, because no one really cares about this game, I'm gonna go with the Indiana Pacers. I think
Ooh,
Halliburton. This is a spot where he's gonna be able to go off. And you look at the Wizards; they're missing Bradley Beal, Porzingis, and possibly even Hachimura. So this Wizards team, I don't think there's enough there for them to be able to compete. And it was fun watching Buddy Hield go off against the
yeah.
Bucks. I mean, I know they didn't win that game, but this Pacers team, they got some good young talent. They're going to be a fun team in the future, and I think they're going to win this game tonight.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go the other way. Let's see what happens here. I'm gonna
Right.
go with the Wizards just because I think that they're the better team here. They've proven themselves a lot more than the Pacers have. Now, granted, like you mentioned, they're going through a lot of ins and outs, and they had a really great game against the Bucks with Buddy Hield and Halliburton really just going in and showing off. But I think that this is kind of where Kuz might shine. That might have been just a game for them to go off at. But this is a Wizards team that's been consistently inconsistent, but against lesser teams, they still come out and they show out because they realize that this is kind of where they have to lay the points and get those win columns. So I'm inclined to go with Kuz and the Wizards here, but it makes sense why the spread is how it is. Like it's going to be a close one. No one's going to be probably watching it. And then we'll see if it's a tiebreaker for us.
Okay, now we'll get to Blazers, Grizzlies, and apparently Noor has a lot to say about this game. So you go first.
I do. Okay, so this spread 11 and a half. I get it. It's Memphis Grizzlies. They're the Grizzlies. They've been amazing this season. They are without Ja probably, but again, this is Grizzlies team that's just been keeping their pace all throughout the year in the Western Conference. But let's talk about the Blazers. Blazers have also been great throughout the year, but then once they've had their ins and outs with the trade deadlines, the injuries and everything, they've obviously taken a hit. But having those guys going in and out and getting new guys to get familiar with the rules has been everything for them. You see Anthony Simons, he dropped 27 points or 30 points, sorry, 31 points against the other night. And then you have Josh Hart, who dropped 27. You still have Nurkic, who has 23. So you always get that super well rounded effort. And they did that against the Warriors when the Warriors were favored to win. So if you're able to come out and not even just cover the spread, but straight up win against a team like that, then I'm inclined to go and hope that they cover the spread against the Memphis Grizzlies too, especially if they don't have John Morant here. Now, I'm not saying that the Blazers will win this, but I think they can keep this close and they have the weapons to keep it pretty close. So give me Blazers. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is way too many points. I know Memphis is the best team in the NBA in terms of covering the spread, but you gotta give some respect to this Blazers team. They've won three in a row, and I would not be surprised with the way they're playing if they do end up in that play-in tournament. The additions of Hart, Winslow have been great, and then you look at a guy like Simons, he's really turned it up a notch. I mean, Blazers fans, they're never gonna fully forget about CJ McCollum, but if Simons continues to play at the high level that he's
Yeah.
playing at, they're not going to miss him too much. I mean, he has been fun to watch. And you talk about the individual performances he's had over the last week or so. This Blazers team, they're scrappy, they're playing hard, and they do not look like a team that's given up as I thought they were going to be. And that's kind of been the theme with this team since the start of the new year. I thought this was a Blazers team that was going to fold after it was announced Dame was going to be out, but you got to give them a ton of credit. They've been one of those teams that just doesn't want to go away. And I think they will make this one interesting. So I will take the points plus 11 and a half.
Look at us. We're agreeing today. I'm actually doing it on purpose because I saw your score last night and I just need to get those wins up now. Now, anyway, we've got the Kings and the Bulls, where the Bulls are favored by -5. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Levine's gonna be out. Williams has a left wrist injury. Caruso wrist. Lonzo Ball knee. They're all out. So the Bulls are gonna be shorthanded for this one, but it doesn't matter. They've proven that they have been okay despite being shorthanded. They're coming off a nice win and cover against the San Antonio Spurs, and DeRozan just playing out of his mind right now. I mean, I don't know how you can bet against them. The Bulls are at home in this spot. So I expect DeRozan and Vooch to lead the way and continue this hot streak for the Bulls.
I actually am the same way. I think I was kind of going back and forth because this is a Kings team that they made some trades this deadline and they got better. They got better. They got Sabonis. They already had Darren Fox, so they have the offense that they need to rely on. But I think that this Bulls team might just be too much for them. Now, granted, they don't have the depth that they should have in this matchup. Like you mentioned, no Caruso, no Levine, no Ball. It's just going to be a Debo show. But Debo has been amazing. Like he's on par with MJ status of the Bulls right now. And if that's the case and you're going up against the Kings and you're the best player on the court, I'm going to give the edge to Depot. He's been averaging 30 plus 35, 40 points the past couple of games. And it should be another one of those tonight. So give me the Bulls.
All right, next game here. We got the Spurs, 7.5 point favorites against OKC.
Yeah, this OKC team, I don't know why they always get underdog and they come out and they win every single time. And I think might be the same case again here tonight. Sorry. Spurs have made some changes. They have done some retooling. They shipped out Derek White. They still have Murray and Pirtle, who have been apps just, a delight completely for that team. But this OKC team, even without Shea, is crazy. They don't always have to win, but they always cover the spread. They always keep it close no matter who's there, and they play to their opponent's level. They don't care who it is. If they're bad, if they're good, they always will make it a game towards the very end. And they still have Josh Giddey. They have Trey Mann, who's been putting on shows. And I just don't trust the Spurs like that right now. I think they're a good team. They're obviously coached by Pop, but what OKC has been able to do, look at just last night against the Knicks, like that was something else. They being able to do that overtime and coming out to win that is fantastic. So I think I'm going to take OKC to cover here. Not sure if they win, but I think that they can, an OKC style, keep it in close fashion. What about you?
Yeah, look at what Giddey did against the Knicks the other night. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And OKC, you probably don't want to take them because you see all these guys being out, like Ludor, Shea. But it's funny, for as bad as this team has been, they're actually the best team at covering the spread other
Yes.
than the Grizzlies. It's insane. They're 35, 19, and 3 against the spread.
It makes no sense.
And look how good the Grizzlies are. And OKC is next to the bottom. So they are losing, but they're keeping these games close, which is the remarkable part about it. And you look at their last two games in particular, both losses, but they kept it close against the Knicks and the Chicago Bulls, who we just talked about. So I think you have to take the points with OKC here. They're at home, and 7.5 just seems like too big of a number for the Spurs. I could see the Spurs
Yeah.
winning, but I see this being a tight game.
Yeah, let's see what happens. But that one, we'll see if OKC can get that philosophy going. We have our team playing tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where Raptors are favored by -1.5 right now. Any thoughts, Luca?
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about this matchup. The Raptors' tendencies against big men have definitely not gone their way over the last couple of matchups, and I do
Yep.
think this is going to be a tough spot for them going up against Cat and company. The Timberwolves are 7-3 in their last 10. They've won their last 7 home games, but I guess I'll be a little bit of a homer here. I'm gonna go with the Raptors only because the Timberwolves did play last night and they did go to overtime, and it took a really big effort and comeback to win that game. So I'm hoping fatigue is a factor in this one. As for the Raptors, they did get blown out last game, but that was an opportunity for their starters to take the fourth quarter off. So they were able to get some much needed rest. I like the Raptors to bounce back here going into the All Star break. So I will pay the price of 1.5. I think they find a way to get it done. And I don't see them having nearly as bad of a shooting night as they did against the Pelicans. They can't get worse than that.
Yeah, seriously. I hope you hope not, right? I agree with you. I think this is a game where the Raptors might be able to take this. This is like you mentioned the other night with the Pelicans. Um, I think it was more the Raptors shooting slump than anything else. But my only concern with this game is if Freddie is not suiting up. If he's not coming for this game, if he's not going to be playing here, which I think already he's day to day, and he also missed today's practice in this afternoon, pretty much I think paves the way for him sitting out for tonight's game. And if that's the case, you have probably Pascal going at PG, handling the ball. And I don't know if we have the depth or the height or the size to really contain Anthony Edwards as well as Carl Anthony Towns if they're both on the floor together. And I think right now Ant is day to day, but even without that, you already mentioned it. This team going up against actual traditional bigs, they completely fall apart. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to defend them. And my thing with doubling these guys is okay, sure, you can double Giannis, you can double Jokic, you can double Embiid, but that means you're leaving another guy open. And if you're doing that in the playoffs, good luck because all those guys in the playoffs can make their shots. You're giving Harden the opportunity to go take a three. Same thing with anyone that's around Jokic, anyone that's around Giannis. So I think that center depth is going to come and it's going to be a big problem, not just now, but down the line in the playoffs when you are going up against teams that have just traditional bigs. And if you look at the NBA right now, it's dominated by big men. They're the ones having the conversation currently in the MVP race, right? You've got Jokic, you have Embiid, you have Giannis. All these guys are the ones that get those talks going. And while you had Marc Gasol, sure, you had the chance to do whatever you wanted. But are you going to throw Boucher at these guys? Like, no, you're
Yeah.
not. It's not gonna happen. So I think that this is gonna be a bad one. I see this one going against the Raptors, especially if Freddie's not suiting up. So I'm not gonna be a homer today. I'm gonna take the Wolves.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I could see. Honestly, this game could go either way. I could see it going either way. And if the T Wolves do win, it's going to be an ongoing problem with this Raptors team whenever they do play a true big. But now
Yeah.
moving on over to or sticking in the West, we got an all Western Conference show down here. We got the Rockets taking on the Suns, and this is a big spread. The Suns minus 15.5 point favorites after failing to cover the spread against the Clippers.
Yeah, the Suns, though, are a team that if you're gonna lay the points on anyone, that's the Suns. You gotta lay the points on the Suns, especially if you're going up against the Rockets. Like I tried to do that Rockets thing where I think they were going to be playing Utah, and I was like, hey, maybe they'll cover the spread there. Got blown out. That just was not the Rockets team you want to bet on right now. And yeah, it's a back to back for the Suns right now too. But I think they're gonna be at home the entire time, so no travel for them. It's just going from home to court to court to home. So you're not really factoring in much exhaustion or fatigue or anything like that. And this is just the best team in the league. Everything that they have going for them is going to go for them. And Houston lacks everything on both ends that the Suns already have on both ends. Just give me the Suns. What about you?
I was trying to find a reason to take the Rockets because when you look at
You
this,
just-
immediately you think, am I really going to lay 15.5? But I got to go with the Suns too. You're right. If you're going to lay the points with anybody, it's got to be on the best team in the league right now. And you look at the Rockets, they have failed to cover the spread in 5 straight games. So there's nothing going for them. And the Suns have already beaten them at one point this season. It was by 26. The other was just a 12-point win. But the Rockets, they've allowed over 130 points in 3 of their last 5 games. So you're talking about a hot team meeting a very cold team right now. And the Suns, they were actually up pretty comfortably against the Clippers. But you just got to credit that Clippers team for being so
yeah.
coached and so good of a team that they just do not give up and they always come back. So this isn't the Clippers, this is the Rockets. They're a much far less team and they're 22-33-1 against the spread and 14-15 against the spread on the road. So I'm going to go with the Suns here because even over the fact that they didn't cover against the Clippers, you look at their previous 2 games before that, they won those games by 27 and 24. So this is a Suns team. They're no stranger to blowing out their opposition en route to the win. So yeah, I like the Suns here minus 15.5.
Yeah, they've got every single guy on the roster who can just give you 30 points any night. Now, how nice would that be? Let's stick to the Western Conference theme. We've got the Denver Nuggets taking on the Golden State Warriors, where the Warriors are favored by -5.5. Luca.
Yeah, this could surprise you, but I'm gonna go with the Nuggets. I think it's gonna be a close
Ooh.
game. You look at the Nuggets; they have the 16th best defensive rating in their last 15 games. So this is a team that they have definitely picked it up on that end, and I think Jokic is gonna be able to dominate inside. There's no Draymond Green, there's no Wiseman, so this is a game where I could see Jokic being, the best player for the Denver Nuggets, and I expect this to be a little bit of a track meet. I expect both teams to get their offense going. And I know on the other side, you're talking about Curry and Clay. They can always go off at any moment. But this is a Warriors team that they haven't looked that scary like they did at the start of the season. This is a team that they have been winning games, but it's been closer than what a lot of people have thought. And in some of these games, they've lost them outright. So I can see this one being a very, very close game. It'll probably end up being the game of the night, which we'll probably highlight after. I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. I think they find a way to keep it close, and I would not be surprised with the way they're playing right now if they can even sneak out a victory against the Dubs.
Yeah, honestly, I think they can take this too. I think they might, like you said, come out and win this. The Warriors are not going to have an easy job tonight. If you have Jokic on the floor, the Raptors proved it. Everybody else proved it. How do you stop the Jokic? And if you don't have Draymond Green in the roster either, who is your defensive anchor, who is the guy that sets the tone for everything, that's going to be even worse. Because you can't throw the Splash Brothers at him, can you? And the Warriors are a good home team. They've always been a great home team. That's kind of where they shine. But like they haven't been themselves the past couple of games. I don't think they've covered the spread in the last 6 games or anything, something like that. And when they were playing the Clippers, they were favored to win, and they ended up being a pretty massive loss for them. I don't know if who wins this. I'm not sure if it's going to be the Warriors or the Nuggets, but I think it's going to be a close game, and it'll be come down to the pretty much the wire essentially. So I'm going to go with the Nuggets. I'm going to go with Jokic, and I'm going to ride on him, but what he's been doing already pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good bet looking at some of the numbers. And then finally, we got the Jazz taking on the Lakers, and the Jazz are 4.5 point favorites here. The Lakers, they've had 3 days off, so they should be well rested for this one.
Yeah, and they're gonna have like what, 6 days off after that. So no,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to hear any complaints about rest or fatigue or anything like that. But again, the one team here is almost completely healthy. It's only pretty much missing Rudy Gay, and the other is just going through it. Lakers are going through it. I don't know what's happening, but they're going through it. They might not have AD, they might not have LeBron here. So it's gonna have to be a Westbrook show. Maybe not even Mellow tonight. And if that's the case, if you have Gobert back, if you have Donovan Mitchell back, if the Utah has their core intact, it's got to be the Utah Jazz, right? Like you already have Gobert there, who's going to be there to set the defensive anchor. Then you've got Mitchell there, who is a force on offense. How do you stop either of those guys, and how do you stop that team put together? Utah Jazz, when they have had guys plug in and plug out, that's kind of when you can, go against them or make any arguments. But when that's a team put together, when they're playing as a cohesive unit, you can't bet on them, especially when it's the Lakers. Lakers are the most inconsistent team who are not going to have anyone there tonight. So I'm worried about their shooting and who that's going to come from if, let's say, Westbrook has an off night. But yeah, give me the Jazz. What about you?
Yeah, I gotta go with the Jazz here, especially with the spread being as low as it is. I thought it was gonna be a bigger spread. They've won 6 games in a row. The Jazz are quietly building some momentum now, and I know a lot of their damage has come at home, but the Lakers haven't really scared anybody this season. This is a team that's very inconsistent. They're beat up, they're banged up, they're up there in age. We know all of their problems, and it's not gonna get any easier here. And I look for the Jazz to repay the favor to the Lakers because the Lakers did go into Salt Lake City and beat them at the beginning of this year. So I do like the Jazz. I really like how they're playing right now. Mitchell's playing at a high level. Everybody's buying in, and the Jazz are starting to hit their form, a form that we saw last year when they dominated the regular season en route to that number 1 seed. So I like the Jazz in the spot. I really have not seen enough from the Lakers where I can trust them or take them in the spot anyway. So give me the Jazz.
I don't think we've seen the Lakers at all properly this year. It's been a crazy, crazy NBA year, which pretty much wraps up our episode for today. We'll see you guys again tomorrow for the last day before the All Star break. And let's see how we leave things off. Right now, Luca is leading me at 54%. I'm at a whopping 51, and my goal is to make sure I beat Luca's ass before this year is over. So we'll catch you again tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us. And this has been me, Noor Zainab, with Luca Rosano. So thanks so much. Take care.